One of the biggest mistakes that I made when I was in college was to not really pay attention to anything else that was not engineering related.
Don't waste my fucking time!
When I was taking mechanical engineering classes, I was only so focused on learning about math and physics and thermodynamics and the core classes that make up mechanical engineering itself. I was only concerned about learning those technical skills, or hard skills as they call them, but not so much the soft skills that you learn when you take a psychology class or a social science class or art. Those classes that increase your creativity and they teach you how to think and write and speak. Did I just say speak, not speak? Little did I know, a few years later when I graduated, I realized that I made the mistake of not paying attention to those classes, those general electives. Because when you enter the workforce and you are in a professional environment, you deal with people from different age groups. You deal with people with different backgrounds and expertise. It's a whole nother world. It's very different than when you're in college. So in order to get along with people and form cohesive teams and deliver ideas properly and be creative and adapt, you need to have at least an idea on how to do it. So in this video, I'm going to teach you 5 soft skills that are not only going to help you become a better engineer, but they're also going to help you prepare for what's coming up ahead. Number 1, creativity. A colleague of mine once said, if you can do more with less, that's true engineering. And to me, actually, that sounds more like that's true creativity. And not only does creativity allow us to bring new things to the market and develop new technologies, but also allows us to optimize existing ones by making them easier to use or just making them simpler to build or making them more efficient. For example, when I was in engineering school, we had this professor who was in charge of the robotics lab. And every week, he would meet with his team and they would close the doors and they will sit around the table and stare at a whiteboard. And this was a brainstorming session where every single person had to throw some ideas, but they had one rule. The one rule was to never shut down an idea. No matter how crazy or ridiculous or insane the idea was, if they wanted to solve a problem, nobody would shut down any ideas from anybody during the brainstorming session. And I find this extremely useful and actually almost like a life lesson, because how many times do we have ideas and we think of them as not useful or they're not good enough and we just forget about them. So this is a really good way to increase your creativity. Don't shut down your ideas just because you think that they're not good enough or they're silly. You determine that later. But the first step to being creative is to not constrain yourself and not limit yourself, especially when you're coming up with solutions. Just throw all the ideas that come to your mind on a whiteboard, on a piece of paper, and then once you're done, then you go through the down selection process and start focusing on the best ones. Number 2, the ability to adapt. In the last 8 years of experience, regardless of the project that I work on or the people that I work with or the company I work for, the only constant is change. And I'm sure you've heard this concept before, and if not, then welcome. But if you think about it, once you start working, everything is going to change. The people that you work with is going to change. The software that you use to do your work is going to change. And even when you start working on a design, the design is most likely going to change throughout the process itself. And so you have to be able to adapt and not close your eyes and stay stagnant, because it's at that moment when you start becoming obsolete. So you always have to keep an open mind, always learn, always ask lots of questions, and always be able to just learn the new concepts and the new tools that are coming out so that you can stay up to date with everything that's happening in the industry. Number 3, leadership skills. And I get it, not everybody's born to be a leader. Not everybody wants to be a leader, and I get it. But the skills that I'm talking about here, such as accountability and staying humble and being empathetic and being positive and following up with people, these are just skills that, in my opinion, every engineer should have, because that helps you be a better engineer. When you talk to others and you keep your word and you stay accountable and you remain humble and positive, and overall, people just want to be around you. So, and not only that, but also at that point, I think, in my opinion, you just become an asset to the company. And who doesn't want to be around people that are humble and empathetic and positive? So in general, be kind, keep your word, stay accountable, follow up, and that's going to go a long way for you. You have no idea how far this can go, whatever you are working. Number 4, resilience. Okay, and I talked about this skill before, and being resilient is part of being an engineer. If you already went through engineering school or you're going through it now, you're gonna realize that resilience is basically the ability to get back up. You know, once you fail, you get back up, you keep going. Think about it. You're gonna be dealing with a lot of very difficult personalities. People with a strong character, people that sometimes have no tact and they don't know how to talk to others and they're very direct. They're gonna be the ones that are going to be judging your work. Believe it or not, the work that you do is going to be judged and it's going to be criticized, it's going to be critiqued. You're going to have annual reviews where people are going to be very honest with you and they're going to tell you whether you're doing a good job or a bad job, or you're lacking this skill or not. Well, in my opinion, don't take things personal, because people can crumble. I've seen people crumble when it comes to engineering, and people are just very harsh when they give you feedback, or something is done wrong, or perhaps you missed instruction that was very crucial. People are going to give you shit for it, and people are going to be calling you out. So in order to deal with those certain situations, you have to be, number one, mentally prepared and not take things personal. But not only that, but also think that it's just part of the process. You know, that's just part of your career. You're going to have setbacks, you're going to have mishaps, things are going to happen. But the most important thing here is to notice a mistake, learn from it, and just keep going. Skill number 5, customer service. Man, I never really realized, or I never thought that all the years that I spent working in fast food restaurants and department stores and banks, I didn't really know that those skills that I was learning there on how to deal with people and how to deal with customers were going to come very handy when I actually entered the engineering world. Because when you're an engineer, you are always going to have customers. The customers are the people that are going to be paying for your service. If you work for a certain company, your company is going to have a customer, and perhaps a lot of times you are going to be dealing with the customer directly. And so when I entered the engineering world, all the skills in customer service that I learned when I was in retail came very handy, because I thought that I was prepared to deal with customer issues. I knew how to respond, I knew how to talk to people, I knew how to diffuse certain situations that were difficult, or the people yelling at me. So I was very fortunate and lucky to have gone through all those years in retail, and then later on be able to apply those same interpersonal skills or customer service skills to the engineering world. So how do you learn customer service skills? Like, what do you do? So in my experience, and my recommendation for you, is to actually get a job either at a university or somewhere where you actually have to deal with customers. Another option is to learn from other people, especially when you go to a retail restaurant or when you go to a certain supermarket or somewhere and you deal with retail workers. Just pay attention to how they act, how they interact with you. And if you feel like you are serviced well, then just copy their same behavior and same techniques. Alright guys, I'm going to leave the video here. If you learned something from this video and you find it useful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or you want to work one-on-one with me, just check out the link in the description. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.